All right, everybody. That's about it, except for one big, super important thing, and that is the final honoring of the evening. Remember last year, we had a Lifetime Achievement Award. Well, there are a lot of lifetimes out there, but this is the most important one right now. We would like to honor Mr. Walter Koenig with the Lifetime Achievement Award. Hello, Walter. How are you?
I'm fine, but I don't think you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Can hear me?
We hear you and we see you. And we love your bookshelf.
Yes.
Sirach, would you like to say a couple words before we fully present this?
I'm going to say what I know about Walter, and that he is just a classy guy. He's funny. He's sweet. He's kind. He's gentle. He's thoughtful. It's just I just can continue to go on because he's the kind of person that you just want to hug. And every time I see you, Walter, I just want to hug you. And I love you tremendously. I love that you have left a legacy of excellence for all of us that have come and followed behind you. And I thank you for paving the way along with your other castmates for the rest of us to be sharing in these moments like we are today. And Walter, you've shown us by example how to, wear the mantle of what Star Trek represents and all of the ideals. And for that, I thank you. And it is an honor for me to be presenting you with this Lifetime Achievement Award.
Just want to point out very quickly that the people in the live chat completely agree. Look at all these hearts and applause and love. And people saying the bookshelf is amazing.
Yeah.
Walter, thank you so much.
Myself, having had the opportunity to work with Walter on set and hang out with him off set, I say, incredible man, incredible heart, talented and kind and everything good that you can say about somebody. Really living up to the ideals of what Star Trek is for for all of us.
Thank you very much. I guess it's my turn to talk.
Please.
Might as well. Yeah. I like that you made a face both times Sirach and Scott called you kind, though, by the way. I caught that.
He's a very young man, and on his series, my son guest starred on the show and played opposite Sirach, which was quite remarkable and was great. I was very proud to see him on the show and working with you. And the only thing I want to talk, I don't want to get maudlin, and I don't want to get overly sentimental. But I do, the question I'm asked the most, always, constantly for the last 6.5 decades, is how is it that Khan recognized Chekhov? Chekhov wasn't in the first season of Star Trek. Well, I knew that. I knew that before we started shooting. I was, in fact, asked to do a Trekkie run on the script. The first thing I discovered, the most heinous literary faux pas, was that they killed Spock off in the second act. And I said, you can't kill an icon like Spock. That's got to be the climax of your story, excuse the word. It has other meanings other than literary. So, anyway, I came up with a story that I would tell at conventions, and the story very quickly was Khan did recognize Chekhov. Chekhov was working on the third deck behind the boiler room and was very, very ill with a condition called Malachowski's malady, and was ensconced in the bathroom and had been there for hours and hours. When poor Mr. Khan's genetically engineered kidneys, about to explode, pounded pitifully on the bathroom door, begging for admittance, until finally the door swung open. Chekhov stepped out. Khan grabbed him and said, "Your face, I will never forget." Okay, so that's the story. That's the story that I tell. So a young man came up to me, this was in the last 6 months, and said, how is it that Khan recognized you? And I said, okay. And I told the story. And there was a moment of silence, a very heavy, deep thinking silence. And he turned to me and said, I'm going to consider that canon. So that's the truth. That's how it all really happened.
It's canon now. That's it.
Lock it in.
Please appreciate it. I'm glad that you're all keeping Star Trek alive, and that you're such enthusiastic and energized and generous fans. And I'll continue to watch all the iterations of Star Trek.
Thank you, Walter. You've been amazing for decades and decades, and we really appreciate you. You're always cool. You're still always funny too, by the way. That's I hope I'm still that funny when I'm 50. But you're a class act. We all love you. You're hilarious. You're brilliant. You're a great writer as well, and we're more than happy to bestow this upon you. And we're even happier that you gave us the time of day and came on to the show to accept it. So thank you once again.
Mm-hmm. We love you, Walter.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right. I think that's about it, everybody. We're going to pull up one more person real quick, just because somebody is applauding you, Walter. And so I want you to see that he was applauding. It was Mr. Armin Shimmerman saying hello.
May I tell a quick story about Walter and I?
Please do.
Walter doesn't remember this because I asked him once. He doesn't remember, but I do. I was a very young man living in New York. I was on 8th Avenue. And Mr. Chekhov approached me on 8th Avenue long before I ever thought about being on Star Trek, years before, and asked me, do you know how to get to so-and-so? I can't remember where. And I gobsmacked and said, yeah. You just go up 3 blocks and you turn right and there you are. And I spent the rest of the day quelling over the fact that Walter Koenig, Mr. Chekhov, actually talked to me on the street. Now I see him at the post office on a regular basis, but that was one of the best days I ever had because Walter stopped me on the street.
I'm not sure I should be happy for you or cry for you, but that's one of the best days you've ever had.
You can do both. Either way, Walter. Either way. But I've known him now for a long time, and he's everything you say he is. He's kind, he's funny, and most importantly, he's talented.
Yes, sir.